Hello team, welcome back. And let's continue with the XPath locators. So we will see some other functions of the XPath and how we can find out the XPath of the web elements in Selenium. So let's start with. So very first we will learn about the wildcard search in XPath. So what is the wildcard search, how we can apply the wildcard search, and how many web elements we can get with the help of the wildcard search, right? So when we talk about the wildcard search in XPath, the asterisk is the first character which comes in a mind. So asterisk is the most used wildcard character in the XPath, right? We have already seen after the double slash, either we can put the asterisk, it means all the HTML tags, or we can specify the specific HTML tag, right? So we will start the XPath with the help of the double slash, and after the double slash we need to provide the HTML tag, right? In some of the XPaths we have already defined this. It means all the HTML tags which is present on the web page. So we can define few XPath with the help of the wildcard search as well. So suppose if we are defining double slash asterisk, it means match all the elements which are present inside the HTML web page, right? So let's go to any website. So I will open on the facebook.com, and this is the landing page of the facebook.com, right? Suppose you want to identify that how many web elements are present on this particular web page, right? So we will open the developers tool by pressing F12 key, then press Ctrl F to open the XPath finder, and over here we will define double slash asterisk. Hit enter. So you can see over here we have 592 web elements on this particular web page, right? So on this particular web page, on the Facebook landing web page, we have 592 web elements, right? So with the help of double slash asterisk, we can find out all the elements which are present on this particular web page, right? Now suppose, now you can see over here we have the div tag, we have the scripts, right? And inside the scripts we may also have the div tags, right? Suppose we want to find out that how many elements are present inside the div tag, right? So we can modify the XPath like double slash div single slash asterisk. So inside the div tag we have 176 web elements, right? So on this particular web page there are 176 web elements which is present inside the div tag, right? Suppose you want to verify that how many web elements are present inside the input tag, right? How many input fields are available on this particular web page, right? So we can identify like this: double slash input, right? Open and close the curly braces, put at the rate and asterisk. Hit enter. So you can see over here we have the 42 elements which are present inside the input tag, and they have at least one attribute, right? If you are not defining at the rate asterisk, it means, so because we are searching the XPath on the at the rate, right? So we can see there are 42 web elements on this particular web page which have the HTML tag input, and they have at least one HTML attribute. Now suppose you want to find out all the web elements on the web page, and it doesn't matter that what is the HTML tag for that particular web element, right? So we can simply replace the input with the asterisk. So we can define double slash asterisk, open square bracket, at the rate asterisk, close square bracket, hit enter. So you can see there are five. So over here you can see there are 544 web elements present on this particular web page which have the HTML attribute. So this is called wildcard search or wildcard XPath generation, right? With the help of the asterisk we can identify different kind of elements. Suppose elements which have some specific HTML tag, elements which have some specific value, elements which are starting with the special attributes, right? So there's a different case. It all depends on the need. What is your need, right? So we have seen how we can find out all the elements. We have already discussed about the div and asterisk. So this means match all the elements which is present inside the div tag. We have discussed about the input, right? So match all the elements which have the input tag and have at least one attribute, right? We have discussed about this kind of XPath as well, which means match all the elements which have at least one attribute, and it doesn't matter that what is the HTML tag associated with that particular element, right? Now let's talk about the dependent and independent XPath, right? So what is dependent and independent XPath? First, we need to understand this particular thing, right? So these kind of XPath mostly these kind of XPath we need to use when we will work on the e-commerce website, right? Why we need to use the dependent and independent XPath when we will work with the e-commerce website? Because on the e-commerce website, sometimes there is a need that a particular web element for which you are writing your automation that is not fixed, right? That is moving around the web page. So when you will refresh your web page, maybe the position of that particular element for which you are writing your script may change, right? So mostly used for the dynamic web elements. So when we are working about the dependent and independent XPath, so basically we use them for the dynamic web elements. And what is the dynamic web element? Which are basically not static, they are moving or they are changing their values. There's a one more thing. We will use the dependent and independent XPath when the web element which we want to identify that is dependent on the another web element. So in most of the e-commerce website, you have seen that some slides that a particular box is displaying on a web page, and once you will refresh that particular web page, that box will move to some other location. Once you again refresh that particular web page, that box will move to some another location, right? So these are the dynamic web elements. They are changing their position on the web page. Also the XPath or the DOM for that particular web elements is being changed, right? So you can't define a generic or you can say static XPath for these web elements, right? So we need to design some kind of customized XPath which will be able to find out the web elements, either they are moving on the web page or they are changing their values, right? So let's see how we can create these kind of XPaths. So over here I have created an HTML file, right? In that HTML file I have the values and checkbox, right? And my task is to find out the checkbox of a specific element, right? So first we will see what is the HTML file and what content do we have in that particular HTML file, right? So XPath part2.html, this is the HTML file which I have created, and this is the UI which I have created in that particular HTML, right? So guys, don't worry, I will post this HTML file with this particular lecture so you can also get it and you can practice around this, right? So over here you can see we have the checkbox, right? We have some tools and language input, right? And suppose over here we need to find out the checkbox of the QTP. So we need to find out the checkbox of the QTP, right? And check it. But although this is a static HTML file, every time you will refresh it, it will not change the value. But suppose this is the UI of some e-commerce website, and the position of this QTP element is basically changing on every refresh. We can relate this particular HTML file UI like a table, right? And this is an element of the table. Suppose this is a stock market table and this is the value of a stock, which is basically gaining and losing during the daytime, and every time you will refresh your page the value is going up and down, right? We need to, and our test case is like we need to check this particular checkbox which is dependent on this particular value, right? So these are two things. This value is independent, right? We need to identify the checkbox which have this particular value. So checkbox is a dependent thing. So over here the checkbox web element is basically dependent on the QTP, and QTP is independent element, right? So we need to write down the XPath where we will check this particular checkbox on the basis of this particular web element, right? This is called dependent and independent XPath. So first we need to find out the XPath of the independent web element, right? In our case the independent web element is the QTP. Then we will find out the XPath of the dependent web element, right? Because this checkbox is dependent on this particular value. So I hope the team is getting my point what I'm trying to explain, right? So the problem statement is we need to check the checkbox which have the value QTP, and QTP is basically moving around the web page every time when we will refresh the web page. So we cannot define the fixed XPath for this particular web element, right? So let's see how we can create the web element for these kind of situations. So here we are going to discuss out the steps. So first is, don't write the XPath for the checkbox because checkboxes might change its position, right? Suppose you are write down a hard code XPath for the checkbox, and when you will refresh your web page, then suppose QTP, the position of QTP is being replaced with the Selenium. So we can't hard code the value, right? Second is, based on the text present in the QTP field, we have to write the XPath, right? So basically, we have to write the XPath on the base of the independent field. We have to find out the common parent of the QTP and checkbox. Once you will write down the XPath of the QTP, you need to find out the common parent of your QTP and the checkbox web element, right? It means once you will write down the XPath of the independent web element, you need to find out the common parent of the dependent and independent web element. First, let's find out the XPath of the independent web element, which is the QTP, right? So we'll go to the browser, put F12, open the developers tools by pressing the F12. Now I will activate my spy and go to the QTP. And what should be the XPath of the QTP? This is inside the TD HTML tag. So we can define like double slash TD, open the square bracket, close the square bracket, define text, right? And value is QTP. So this is the XPath of the QTP, right? I will hard code this XPath on my notepad file. So this is the XPath of the QTP, the HTML tag, and then we are using the text function. So we have done our first job. We got the XPath of the independent element, right? Now let's move further. So the XPath of the QTP is like this, double slash TD text equal to QTP, right? Now we need to find out the parent of the QTP element, right? So what is the parent of the QTP? We need to find out that. And in XPath, we can find the parent of the element by using single slash dot dot, right? So let's go to the browser and put the single slash dot dot, right? So it will highlight the complete row. So this tr is the parent of QTP. You can see once you will put the independent element XPath single slash dot dot, so it will highlight the parent tag of the QTP, which is tr, this tr, right? Now we can define the XPath of my checkbox. Simple. So we have seen the XPath of the parent of the QTP like double slash TD text QTP single slash double period, right? Now let's move further. So in the next step, we will check the parent is common parent of the QTP and the checkbox, right? And after this, we'll try to navigate to the checkbox using checkbox properties. So first, we will narrow down the parent is common. So the QTP parent is tr. Let's open this TD, and yes, the checkbox parent is also the tr, right? So this is done. Now we need to define the next XPath, right? So after this, if we will narrow down to the checkbox, then this has the HTML tag like input. So input is not a direct child of the tr. Tr child is td and input is the child of td. So I can put double slash and call the input. Then you can see it is highlighting the checkbox, right? So this should be the XPath of the dependent field. What is the XPath of the dependent field is double slash td text QTP single slash double period double slash input. So guys, these are the thing which you can't find out over the internet or over some books, right? So these are the things which people learn from their own experience, right? So whatever we are learning over here, please apply them on your real life project. So if you are just watching these videos like a movie, then it won't be helpful, right? So we have to practice as well. So thank you, Tim. Thanks for your time. If you have any question around this, then please let me know.